No? Good. Step inside the box. No, step inside. Sorry, Max, step inside. We're all inside it right now.
Stop.
What made you fall in love with magic? Sleight of hand, right? We're gonna talk shop. I'll tell you exactly the moment I fell in love with sleight of hand is when I learned the ohms count, right? I mean, it seems basic now, right? It seems like it's such a basic move, but I remember back then when I did it, it was so interesting that you can hide a card, right? But it seems simple right now, right? But I think what's interesting is that at that moment, we fell in love with a move for a move, right? And then we started collecting, right? Like, you know, what defines a good magician? You know, like the secrets we know, the people we know, right? And these moves, right? And we become collectors, right? And even though it's all great and good to read books and videos and everything just to build up your knowledge, right? There comes a certain point where it becomes only about that, right? Where what defines me is these moves and categories, right? So, but that's not what sleight of hand is about, right? I mean, I think sleight of hand is more basic and raw, right? And I think we have lost our way in a sense, like myself included, right? I remember watching Roberto Giobbi, right, give this big talk about magic. You know, like, here's the pyramid of the effect, right? And I remember sitting there like years ago in the convention, I'm just like, I get it, this is what magic is about, yeah. And then when you leave, you're like, how do I apply this? And all of a sudden you're like, you have no idea, right? It's just like, it's like a really good motivational speaker, right? His job is in that moment when you go in there, you'll be like, yeah, I get it. And when you leave, you're like, what? Like, you don't get it, right? Like, I love to try to teach people things in magic, and that's a very interesting concern to me, is what's the difference between inspiration and being able to think on your own, right? It's like, if I ever became like a philosophy teacher in high school, right, 101, right? I think the only thing I want people to leave is to ask why, okay? And I think asking why is probably the most, like, is so important in life and everything, especially in magic. Because I think that, like, for example, like a biddle move, right? So if we're just talking shop here, but like we do these kind of things, like for example, if I'm going to take out like a 4 of a kind, so let's say a standard trick that a lot of people know. So like, you know, like we do this, right? So we say, a lot of times we do this, right? We go, here's 4 aces, right? And let's say I need to like add a card or whatever, right? And then we do this, right? And you go, look, right? And then it made me think, like, because I remember when I was learning magic, these kind of moves, right? They make sense, right? Because you think, all right, so I have the 4 aces, and then I do the biddle move. Because why? Because it's required of me to switch out X amount of cards for X amount of cards, right? And then we just do it, right? And then we keep going, right? And what's funny is that it becomes that our actions, right, is dictated by our methods, right? If you really think about it, right, I think that, again, asking why. If you really thought about it, the basic question I always say to myself is, how hard is it to do something, right? I think that's kind of a funny question. How hard is it to do something, right? So if I take out 4 aces and put them on the table, that's it, right? That's the extent of it, right? There's no reason for me to put it back on to count, right?